If you live in Miami, Florida, and you want to drive to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is near where I live, there's a certain set of directions that you're going to want to follow. And those would be different than if somebody was living in New York City and wanted to drive down to Charlotte, North Carolina. Same destination, but different starting points, and therefore they're going to have different set of directions. When you think about what you want to achieve in nutrition, in training, in life, you likely have the same outcome as other people do. You want to get stronger, you want to get bigger, you want to get leaner, you want to make more money, you want to have better relationships. We have the same outcome, the same goal. But it doesn't mean that your approach, your program, your set of directions is going to be the same. This is something I would encourage you to think through. If you look at your nutrition program, your training program, maybe even business development, I've been helping a lot of trainers and coaches design their businesses lately. And these are the three main areas I work with people, is training, nutrition, and business development. Often they will have a nutrition program or a training program or a business development program that all have the same outcome. Think about how to grow bigger glutes, how to build a bigger chest, how to get a bigger squat or stronger in your deadlift. All of these kind of programs offer the same outcome. And unfortunately, they often come with the same set of directions. But if you have two people wanting to achieve the same thing, it doesn't mean they're starting from the same place. As much as that can make sense to us when we think of driving directions, if I start in two different places, even if I have the same destination, my directions are going to be different. As much as that can make sense with driving directions, we don't always apply that same logic to our nutrition, training, and business development programs. You go online and there's tons of programs out there as how to get bigger glutes in 12 weeks. But it's the exact same workout structure that anyone who buys that program would get. So it's the same set of directions to the same destination, but it's regardless of where you're starting. Unfortunately, what that commonly means is some people will be successful and some people won't. Our hope is that we're going to be in that first group, that we're going to be the successful group. However, there is the group that the people who won't be successful. And the reason why is that program, if it's one program fits all, it's actually not going to do that. It's going to fit some, not even most, it's going to fit some. And that's because whoever wrote it had a starting point in mind when they wrote it. They said, okay, the person is likely starting here. They're going to want to get to here. This is how they do that. But did they start with the person being overweight or underweight? Did they start with a person having maybe a disordered eating background, an inconsistent schedule? Maybe they train in the morning, maybe they train at night. Does that even matter? How do we know these things? A lot of times, the people who buy the programs have the unspoken, unaware assumption that this program is for them. That's not the case. And when the trainer writes the program, in best case scenario, their hope is, I hope this helps most people. They definitely should not think this is the best program for everyone. If they do, they're not a very experienced and very knowledgeable trainer. And if they don't even give a crap and they're just like, hey, I can write this once and sell it to 1 million people, that kind of stinks as well. That's not the best approach. They're hoping they're going to make a lot of money, but the benefit of helping others is then a secondary concern, which is definitely not the way that training and nutrition coaching should be run. We should definitely be trying to do it to where we can get the best outcome for everyone, not just the best outcome for our wallet. With all this said, with all this in mind, we now have the awareness that even if I have the same goal, it doesn't mean I should have the same program. So what do we do about that? What do we do about our program being the same when it shouldn't be. There's a couple things we can do. The most common approach that it's not easy, but it's something you can do that you don't have to pay anyone for. There you go. Is to use ChatGPT. Use an AI technology and say, hey, this is the program I currently have. If it's a nutrition program, these are the foods I'm supposed to eat this day. Here's the troubles and issues I'm having. On this day, I can't eat at this time, or I don't have these kind of foods available. I have a work environment, and maybe I don't have access to a microwave. What do I do? So we're going to present the program, the approach, to ChatGPT. We're going to then discuss all the problems that we're having, and we're going to ask ChatGPT to help us out. Help me solve these issues. ChatGPT can do that. The major benefit is you get a ton of suggestions, and you can start implementing them and learn as you go. The downside of using AI or a ChatGPT type technology is it really can only process with what information you give it. You can give it all the information and say, hey, what maybe am I not thinking of? And it'll maybe give you a good answer out of there. But it's not going to be aware of everything that you don't know if you haven't given it the information that you weren't even aware that you should be giving it. Now, for example, this is a goofy analogy, but let's just go with it. Let's say that you give all this nutrition program information, you give all your problems with the issues, and ChatGPT helps you figure it out, okay? However, nowhere in the conversation did you discuss what you drink per day, the liquids that you drink. I have had clients. I had a client one time, and I've used this reference in podcasts because it's just a really good reference, is they thought clear soda was calorie-free. If you could see through the soda, they thought it was calorie-free, like Sprite and 7-Up. That's not the case. That's not true, in case you didn't know that. So they would, if they were to get a program, put it into ChatGPT and ask for advice, they wouldn't have thought to ever mention liquids because they're like, well, I'm not drinking anything with calories. It's just, it's clear soda. That's fine. And then they would still wonder why their diet wasn't working even after they had ChatGPT help them. Maybe the help that ChatGPT provided got them a little bit further along the path, but eventually that's going to be an issue. If you're drinking a couple hundred calories a day from sugar and you're not aware of that, ChatGPT isn't aware of that, then there's going to be something missing. You're not going to get the success that you want. So ChatGPT AI is super helpful. It absolutely can get you unstuck and get you to the next stuck. So that is helpful. However, typically what is going to be the best outcome is to get a human involved, and hopefully an intelligent human, probably a human who isn't trying to sell you those pre-templated programs. But that's going to be the best bet. Now, I know that I'm one of those humans, so it sounds like I'm making a podcast that just says, please hire me. You're welcome to. But I wanted to give some honesty, and my perspective happens to be from a coach who does do customized programming. I believe in customized programming. That's why I do it. And this is one of the reasons why I believe customized programming is the right approach, is because just because you have the same goal doesn't mean you should have the same program. You have the same destination, it doesn't mean you have the same set of directions. What I've seen over the years, I started helping people when I was 16. I'm 43 now. So I started training people and writing out programs when I was 16 years old. And what I saw was people would give a lot of effort. They wouldn't get the outcome that they thought. They would become frustrated. They would often blame themselves and consider themselves broken, or consider themselves a failure. But from my perspective, I was like, oh, that's not the case. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just this approach isn't what's correct for you. So I saw helping people as a way of helping eliminate that hurt, that feeling that I am not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, I'm broken. I saw a way to help people get through that and not even have to experience that, because that's what I experienced. When I started my journey, I hated the way I looked. I hated the way then that I felt about myself mentally, because I had allowed myself to look that way. So I thought there was something broken or something wrong with me physically, something broken or wrong with me mentally. Maybe I wasn't mentally strong enough, I wasn't smart enough, I didn't work hard enough. I wasn't enough. And that feeling sucks. Absolutely sucks. So I then pursued, if I'm willing to work so hard, what's the right stuff that I should be doing? If this isn't working, but I'm giving everything I have to it, is it really me that's the problem, or is the approach the problem? So I started learning as much as I could about nutrition, as much as I could about training. And then as I learned those things, I realized, oh man, I need to also learn about implementation. How do I actually do these things? So once I find the quote unquote right diet, how do I actually do that every day? How do I get the right foods available? How do I cook these foods? I didn't know how to cook at the time. So I really learned not only the what of what I should be doing, but the how of how to actually do it. And when I went through that process for myself, I realized that I had a lot of flaws and I needed to develop, but it wasn't anything broken with me. It wasn't anything where I couldn't overcome it if I worked hard enough or I learned more content. I was good enough in the sense that if I gave the effort, I could get there. And when I started to fix that for myself, when I started to realize that I'm not a lost cause, that eliminated a lot of self-hate for me. And I wanted to start to give that to other people. That's why I really, truly believe in customized programming is when people start with pre-scripted programming, it will get them some of the way. But once it doesn't work anymore, they start to blame themselves. That's not the problem. The problem is the approach. Maybe the approach doesn't fit you. So we need to work on the what. We need to tweak the approach. Then we also need to work on the how. How are we going to implement this approach? If you have the desire, the work ethic, the dedication, the fire to make the changes, but you keep running into plateau after plateau after plateau, to obstacle, 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 then learning how to customize your approach is likely the thing that's missing. Pre-scripted programming is great for beginners. It's great for the basics, like the how-to. How to do this, how to do that. It introduces some information. It introduces some habits and some concepts. People can get started with that. But once you're started, once you're no longer a beginner, you're going to need a more customized approach. Think about the best athletes in the world. The best basketball players, the best golfers, the best, whatever the heck sport you're into. They all don't have the same program. Think about golfing. They all don't have the same swing. There are concepts that make a good golf swing, but they all don't swing the same way. They have different bodies, they have different mechanics, they have different strengths, they have different weaknesses. Their swing has to become unique to them. And that will be the same with any sport, is how they practice, how they approach the sport is going to be unique. Think about a basketball team. I don't even know how many basketball teams there are. Gosh dang it. I think it's like 32 NBA teams. They all don't have the same exact plays because they all have different players. There might be a team that's really good at defense and some good three-point shooters, but maybe there are some people who aren't great at passing the ball. They don't have good communication. There's not good dribble penetration kind of skill sets. And then you might have a team that's completely different, the complete opposite. So their game plan, their approach to winning the game is going to be different. They have different players, therefore different approach. But they have the same goal, win the game, right? What game are you trying to win? Are you trying to get stronger? Are you trying to get bigger? Are you trying to get leaner? Are you trying to get more athletic? If we think of the fitness realm, whatever your goal might be, it's not unique to you. There are other people wanting to get stronger, wanting to get bigger, wanting to get more athletic. The goal isn't unique. But your program should be, your approach should be, your system for how you're going to reach that goal should be unique to you. That is what I would encourage you to think through, is if you're struggling, if you've hit a plateau, if you're starting to blame yourself or believe that you are the problem, you are not the problem. If you're still willing to put in the work, you are not the problem. The answer, the solution, the way to continue to move forward is to figure out how to customize the approach. You can use ChatGPT, you can use a human coach, However you do it, I'm just encouraging you to think deeper. This has been really helpful with the trainers that I've been helping recently with their business development. There is just an overwhelming amount of information out there in the world. Overwhelming amount of information. And it can be hard to cipher through all that information is, of all of this, what is best for me? Based on how I want to run my business, the way my lifestyle is right now, the outcome that I want to have, the way in which I want to communicate with people. There's all these factors. And that's going to be the same as true for anyone for any goal. Strength, fat loss, muscle size. There's unique factors for you. There's an overwhelming amount of information, but we need to find our way to do it. That will help you get to the next step. That'll help you push through the obstacles, push through the plateaus, is continue to figure out how to customize your approach. How do I make this increasingly more unique for me? And that'll help you get through that hurdle. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful. I think it was more of an awareness thing than maybe a helpful thing. But I just really want people to not get stuck in that place of hating themselves, of blaming themselves. If you're willing to put in the work, you're not the problem. And I want you to hear that from someone. I want you to hopefully internalize that, feel that, forgive yourself if you've been blaming yourself, and recognize that, if I'm putting in the work but the approach isn't working, then the approach is a problem. Let me try a different approach. And when you try a different approach, try one that's actually customized and kind of unique to you. So again, your goal isn't unique, but the program should be. Awesome. If you need any help, of course, you can always reach out to us. Our website is c3method.com. 3 is spelled out T-H-R-E-E. So C-T-H-R-E-E method.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think those are the main social media places that we go to. And then the website as well. I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate your time in listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube. I appreciate your time. And I hope that in some way this has been helpful. Thank you for watching.